What's up, everyone? It's another episode of Draw and Talk. Real quick, hit the subscribe button. We have a really cool topic we're going to be talking about today. And today I got my good friend. No, we got an awesome guy. His name's Adam Bennett. You probably watched the last episode where we talked about the oversaturation of comic books in the market and the indie scene. Today we're going to be talking about three things that newcomers, when they come into the comic book scene, should start learning and understanding. So the first one is the importance of communication. The second one is about getting feedback, and the third one is about making something. We'll get into more depth, but let's talk about the importance of communication, Adam. Like, why is that so important?
Like I was saying a little earlier before we were recording, there was two artists that I was involved with trying to create comic books when I first started just over a year and a half ago. And they both fizzled out very fast. I was trying to keep up with communication with them through emails and stuff, but it was one of those things where you find people on forums for free, and you just really hope that it can work out. I think one of the things that I learned really fast about communication was when you're sending an artist your script, as much as you want to get it to them as fast as possible, make sure to send them like your entire script, because I started out what they call like bleeding out pages to the artist. So I was only sending 5 or 6 pages at a time, like writing each day those 5 pages, and then I was realizing down the line I needed to change things or make sure that there were specific things within the panels that are now becoming an issue. And for all I knew, that they could have been drawing some of that. So that's probably a good first step, is to fully visualize what you want before an artist is going to be taking on the project.
No, yeah, I've done a lot of books where the writers bleeded out the script to me, and I'll get like 4 or 5 pages at a time, and you'll get to like one of the pages, you're like, wait, like this totally changes everything that I should have been doing in the past pages. Do I redraw it? I don't normally do, but it's a pain in the butt. But yeah, you should definitely have your script. And also when you write, I think another big thing is you want to have that script sent to that artist so fast, because you're like, this is such a good opportunity. So you write it out real quick. You miss a lot of details when you're writing the script. And
Yep.
The job as a writer in the comic book scene is you're not really, like, the artist is the storyteller, but you're the one who has to tell him what to draw, or her. And if you like rush, you could miss out a crucial detail that was in your mind but you didn't put on the paper, and then you're like, hey, why does this not have A, B, and C? I've worked with so many writers where they're like, hey, you're missing like A, B, and C. I'm like, you did not put that in there. And they go, oh, well, I meant to. I was like, oh, you meant to. Like, it's done. Like, I'm not redrawing this because you made a mistake. But yeah, I agree with that. Also, I think another thing is, and I'll speak for artists as well, is you should communicate with your writers on what you're doing. Because like you just said, you're like, maybe they're drawing that page right now. I try to tell all writers that I'm working with, like, updates at least like once a week. Or if maybe I'm working with a writer right now on a story and I was like, hey, I've been really busy, I'll maybe get a page done this week. And then other writers, I'll be like, hey, your book is almost done. But just like send them, let the writer know what you're doing. The moment I finish a page, I send it to the writer. I'm like, does this look good? Just so they know, they're like, okay, they're working on the book, it's getting done. But if you're like left clueless and in the dark the whole time, like that's horrible communication, especially if there's money involved. That's infuriating.
Yeah, panel description is extremely important, if you need it to be, basically, because I know a lot of writers will allow free reign for their stories, but if there are specific things you need, you do have to communicate that right off the bat. You don't have to go full Alan Moore with the description, because I've looked through his Killing Joke script, I think, and
because it's online. It's horror. It's so
It's-
I'd be infuriated as the artist. Like, I'd be like, I read it and I was like, so what do I draw? Like,
yeah, it's so meticulously picked through for the artist to put in there, and then some of it if I remember correctly, was just like a little bit of ramblings about certain things that aren't actually involved, but it's like, and it kind of involves the imagery. But yeah, so yeah, the communication with, if you want to see what you see in your head, you basically have to put that in print. You have to write that down.
And write it in a way that I can understand it as well. I mean, I got a script 2 weeks ago for a 1-pager, and let's see if I can, like, so there's like panel 1. Our character is walking through the streets. She's hot like a tamale, blah blah. And it was so like metaphorical, and I was like, I was going to my girlfriend. I was like, hey, what's this phrase mean? I don't know. Like, she punches his face like a ghost, and I'm like, wait, what? I don't know what that means. Like, is the guy a ghost? Like, what? Does she have superpowers now? Like, I was so confused throughout the entire script, and that is something as an artist you as a writer should not be confusing your artist. It should be so to the point, like, just it's a right hook. That's it.
It should be cut and dry, but if I feel though, if you want to try to instill certain emotions with what you want to see, you can dip into trying to convey that in some way instead of be like, he looks sad. You can actually, if you put in another sentence, like, this is how sad this guy looks. Like, I want him to look so desperate, you know?
Yeah. But like, make it clear. Don't be like, he's so sad. Have you ever felt like have you ever dropped your ice cream cone and that's how sad you're like, I don't know it. I don't know it. Maybe if my mom, if my mom died, that's how sad I'd be. That would make sense. No, yeah. So communication is super important as writers, and also with artists in forms of like communicating with like what you're doing. A second thing that's the second point then that we were talking about before we hit the record button was the importance of getting feedback. If you guys listened or watched the last episode that we did, I asked Adam if being too harsh on these people's reviews was a bad thing, but he said no, it's important to get a good feedback. Why do you think it's important to get feedback on your comic?
I guess one aspect of that is feedback lets you know what you could possibly continue working on to improve upon. It doesn't necessarily mean all feedback, because there's always going to be like, I know this is going to make you sound mean or something, but there's a lot of, when you're asking people to look at your work, you'll always have a few people that know how to write your stuff better and how to tell your story better. So they're going to probably list off things that this is how they would do it. And if you don't fix it, you know, you should just forget about it sort of deal. But really and truly, you have to focus on your own work and get better at what you're doing. Take in everything as a suggestion, not as, well, I have to flip the script. I have to change everything. Because it's just like, even if you can't improve upon it now, just know for next time that maybe I'll go a different route or something.
No, yeah, for sure. I totally agree with that. If you can't fix it now, on the next project, fix it later. If you already have your number one issue done and you get bad feedback, don't be like, okay guys, like, I'll change the number one, I'll fix it. Like, don't do that. You're now you're setting yourself back from number two that you might have been working on. In the next issue, figure out your mistakes. Like we said earlier, don't try to make something perfect. But also don't produce crap just to produce, to say, hey, I have something done. You're like, yeah, it doesn't look good. Like, at least try to put some effort in to what you're doing. I mean, people have to look at this.
Yeah. One of my rules for my life anyway is kind of not to pander to anybody. So I really try to take that on as do things for yourself. As much as you need feedback, it's like I was saying, you don't have to flip your own script, and just learn from your mistakes. If you were willing to put up a piece of art or a script and ask people to dissect it, you'll probably not want to touch that thing again, because it'll get torn apart. No matter how good it is, there's going to be something. And it's just like, if you connect too much of your emotion to something like this, it's not going to turn out very good. Like, you got to be able to push through with your own ideas. It's kind of like when you have an editor involved. an editor should be fixing continuity errors, spelling mistakes. But as soon as you have an editor telling you how to tell your story, it can become very troublesome.
Yeah, and that's where that's where I think that the feedback don't it's still your keep your story but you take it what it's worth. But also feedback is good because there's nothing I think more detrimental to someone than blowing sunshine up their butt. So they're like, oh, that's so this is so good. Oh my gosh, and really they're like, this sucks. But I mean, that creator maybe need that this sucks push to make them level up in their art career. I guess the third topic then for newcomers in the indie scene is the importance of making something, then make something else. Just make sure that when you are making something to get it done, which I've said so many times in this on this YouTube channel. But I don't know, you're working on some projects, and that thing you put on Tapas. Hit everyone. It's OB. Do you want me to put this on the link? Do you want me to link it below for people to see?
Oh yes, please.
Okay, everyone, look down below. It'll be linked. But do you feel like that work is perfect? What you did?
No.
But you finished it.
Oh yeah.
How many pages was it?
12 pages.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, it didn't take me very long, and you'll probably notice it in my artwork. But yeah, but it's issue 0 because I kind of wanted to introduce 3 characters that I want to work with. One of them's completely my creation. Another one stems from a public domain character called War Eagle. It was created back in 1942. And then the other one was a kind of a co-creation between me and one of my buddies at work. So I just I wanted to include 3 of these characters and then branch off into their own projects. And of course, it's just me doing everything, so it's going to be a slow go. But at least you'll be able to see it slowly progress because Tapas or whatever it's called, it allows you to put in chapters, right? So I can work with just chapters instead of worrying about, I got to get this 24 pages done because people want to see it maybe, so I got to get it done. But now it's I just got to do 6 pages. And then once I'm done, now I'm I can just do another 6 pages and just keep on working at it. So
no, for sure. You could even get those 6 pages done, but only post a page a day.
Yeah.
Or a week, post a page a week, and then that gives you a huge buffer. But at least you're making something. You're not, and then here's the thing. As I was just looking at it just now, each page gets better and better, and that's something you want to see.
Yeah, and one thing that's kind of funny, but it's not at the same time, is I try to pride myself with good writing and writing out good scripts. I literally wrote those 12 pages as I was lettering it. So I had an idea of what I wanted, but as soon as I put that balloon up, I just filled in with what I wanted. So I didn't plan it at all.
That's what. I'm currently working on a graphic novel called The Hardline, and someone's like, "Hey, can I see your script?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's 6 bullet points of things I want to happen." They go, "What about all the dialogue?" I just put it in as I went. Because I think right there I think that's an interesting way to do it. I'm liking it because you have to put yourself in the moment right there. You're staring at the art. You go, okay, how is everyone? How's this all going? And that's when you can really, I think, put dialogue in. That's just a personal opinion. In
a documentary, some kind of comic book documentary, I can't remember which one it was. There was a team talking about that were doing the old school Sandman character, the one with the gas mask. And the way they were doing their comic was the artist was doing everything and then sending it to the writer, and then he was filling out the dialogue.
Oh yeah, that's the Marvel.
For him,
that's the Marvel. It's called the Marvel method.
Yeah. And he was saying I think that was just the one instance that they were doing that for, and to him as a writer, it changed a lot of how he was approaching it. Because then he was seeing everything, and then sometimes it changed what he wanted to do entirely after kind of visualizing everything properly.
Yeah. So. I think Greg Capullo was working like that for with Todd McFarlane during Spawn.
Oh, yeah.
It was just he'd send them 4 pages, this is just what needs to happen, I'll fill the dialogue in myself. But then, I remember I listened to a podcast, but when he started working with Scott Snyder sends him this 25 huge like script, and Greg's like, I don't work like this. Like, you suck. And I think they figured out a way, but yeah. That goes with communication. You want to know with your artist how they work. Do they need a tight script? Do you give them creative freedom? And if you do give them creative freedom, are you okay then with what you get afterwards? Mm-hmm. Because if you say you can do whatever you want, you better be okay with whatever they give you.
Yeah. And you can't go back on it once it's done. Yeah,
there is nothing I find more infuriating than when a writer who, one, doesn't pay me, and then two, we didn't talk about it. Or like, if I send them some like the rough sketches and they go, yeah, that's good, do the final thing, and then they go, change it. There's nothing more infuriating than I have to I'll either like be like, I'm not doing it, I'll stick my foot in, or if I really want to see the project done, I'll
like, I know you're done the book, but I forgot to mention I wanted his shirt to be blue.
Yeah.
But those last 22 pages, can you just fix that quickly?
Yeah, and that's I hate that though. Can you just do that quickly? Like, do you think that this is a quick thing that you're asking me to do? Yeah, I guess maybe we can add a fourth note for people joining in. Is that nothing is a quick thing in this industry. Mm-hmm. Everything takes time. If you think, I can write a script in a day, well, you shouldn't. You shouldn't do that. A good script should take, maybe a couple days, maybe a week. Who knows? Mm-hmm. You should really work on it. And art takes freaking forever. Nothing comes quick.
Even in a perfect world, when it comes to art, say you go by the page a day method, you're still looking at 3 days, pencils, inking, coloring. But in the independent industry, you're dealing with what I call weekend warriors. People that they have full-time jobs, they have families, they have other issues to take care of just like anybody, and they're going to be able to get to it when they can. People have different levels of commitment and stuff, right? Because whatever they've put themselves out as. But expecting a lot from somebody can be very detrimental, because you could be sitting on something for a month and only see, like, say 4 pages, because it's like he's got the weekend to do it, maybe 1 day to a week to really do something for you. So just I guess another thing, number 5, expect time. Time is the biggest commodity in anyone's life, and let's be real, we all work 9 to 5 jobs, and most of the time these people are doing it on the weekend. Like, we're making this on the weekend right now, and then once we're done, I'll probably go back to drawing and stuff. So expect that if you can't rush anyone. These things take time. Mm-hmm. I guess my final advice, I would think, is for someone new is to, I've said it before, but work on smaller projects. Mm-hmm. Like, do a 2 or 3 page anthology. Do a one-shot comic. Don't do this big, like, I have my whole universe, and you're just like, put that away for now. Start off with, see how hard it is to do a 2 or 3 page comic book, and then see how even harder it is to do a one-shot 24-page comic book. And if you can realize how hard those are, then that you might run away from this whole 36-issue epic. Mm-hmm. I was talking to one of my buddies a while ago, telling him kind of what to expect for, like, submissions as a writer. A lot of the comic book companies, send us a short 4-page. It's got to have a beginning, middle, and end. Tell us a story and basically convince us why we should hire you or publish you. So you have to get good at writing short stories, making them make sense, and you only have, say, 4 pages to do it. If you can't do it within 4 pages, you might have issues, because it sometimes that's what they want, and then sometimes it's like the log line. Convince us in 2 sentences why we want to take on your project. It's like, okay, well, now I lost 4 pages. I have 2 sentences to tell you why you should be publishing me.
Yeah. So
trying to sell your product it can be a task and a half too. Maybe understanding what your product is too.
Maybe if you can't put your product mm-hmm. in 2 sentences, maybe you're not ready to pitch it yet. Yeah,
because if you're asked the question, well, why do I want to read it? It's like, well,
That's actually a
If
good thing.
I had 22 pages, I could tell you why you should read it.
You tell me right now why I should.
Yeah.
You have 15 seconds. Who was doing that? Was it Brian Michael Bendis? One of either a big Marvel guy or DC person, they let people pitch their story to him at a con, and he said, "You have 10 seconds, and then I will only pick one person, and we will publish your story." And I think they eventually picked one person, but at the end of that, he got on the microphone. He goes, "You guys all need to work on." There was 99% of these were terrible.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Figure out ways to convince people that you don't need 22 pages. You just need to convince me why I should read your book. So, yeah. Thanks, Adam. Everyone, check out the link below of his tapas. Follow his career. The indie comic book scene is rough, but it's just all about that work, and Adam's putting in that work. So, everyone, hit the subscribe button. Thanks so much. Thanks, Adam, for being on the show.
Thank you very much.